more in you than what they named you, more than the title, more than the role they gave you. Every step was real, but something still remains, a dream that kept on knocking. Growth is calling you by name. This is your room, this is your moment, your mind, your move. Come as you are, you will not leave the same. This is your own. Something is shifting, something is opening now. You are built for this. You more than the title, more than the role they gave you. Every step was real, but something still remains, a dream that kept on knocking. Growth is calling you by name. This is your room, this is your moment, your mind, your move. Come as you are, you will not leave the same. This is your own. Something is shifting, something is opening now. You are built for this.
I'd like to welcome everyone warmly into the group. Let me know where you're watching from, where you're streaming from. Just go right into the chat and share with us where you're joining from. I'll just read a few in the chat. We have managers across different sectors in the room. We have supervisors, branch managers, team leads. We also have directors in the room, right? I see Oluwatobi from Eweko Road. Thank you for joining in. Timothy from Lagos. Let's keep it coming, please. Keep coming. From Ibadan, right? Yes, we have Ibadan. And first person joining all the way from Kano, Monday. Thank you for joining in. Uyo, we have Mr. Okon, right? William is from Akwa Ibom. I think this is, we can call this a national webinar right now. I promise, from Lagos, right? I see Castina as well, Abdullahi, Mubarak from Kaduna as well. I see Wilson from Abuja, Daniel from Lagos, Olubukola. I remember that name from our WhatsApp group. I think that's you, Olubukola from Ibadan. Thanks for joining in. I see Ayuba from Adamawa. This is awesome, right? This is great, right? So tell me now, tell me, what is the expectation you want to walk away with from our conversation today? Now, first person from Ekiti, Oyeniyi. Thank you for joining in, Oyeniyi. Jerry from Lagos. So I wanted to go right into the chat right now because we have a real task right on this call, and that's what we want to achieve on this call. We have a real goal to achieve, right? So I wanted to go right to the chat. Tell me, what is that one thing you want to walk away from? I'm going to go right into the chat, and I'm just going to read from every one of us. What is that one thing you want to walk away with from? Right? I see Adiza as well from Abuja. Aminat from Lagos, right? I see Samson as well. Let's keep it coming. If you're just joining in, we get introducing ourselves. But beyond your location right now, one thing that I want to know is, what do you want to walk away with? Something struck you when you saw this this webinar, and you really wanted to be part of it, right? But what is that one thing you want to walk away with from this next 60 minutes we're sharing on this call, right? I see Benjamin, right? I think Benjamin from Abia. Benjamin, you are welcome. So I want to read from us right now, and just to give an insight, I'm going to walk us through a conversation that we shape how you approach your role. And then at some point in the conversation, I'll get to hear from you as well. We have some frameworks on the debrief, and then lastly, I'll also get to walk you through other ways we can explore this in some deeper level as well, right? So let me see. I see it in the comment. Keep it coming. Okay, promises to learn how to manage diverse group. I mean, that's key, because we're in that generation of the workplace where we have multi generations in the workplace. Promise, that is key. Abdullah says to acquire the necessary leadership skills to enable me navigate the role. Abdullah, it looks like you're already seen my presentation already, right? And I'm going to just hinge on that when we begin, because leadership is a critical part of any success of a manager, right? I see Mubarak. Please, let's keep it coming. Mubarak says to become a confident manager. Mubarak, I can guarantee you that you're going to achieve that on this call. There's something about confidence as a leader, right? I just like to assure you that you're in the right room right now. I want you to look at this. These are the 4 key areas of outcomes that we really want to cover through from our conversation. And in my experience and years of work in leadership, I've seen managers struggle through this. Maybe your senior manager who you are reporting with, all they say to you is that, oh, well, figure it out. You have a team, just do this. There's some things, it's also part of psychology as an adult, right? As a person grows older, there's that percentage psychology talks about correcting somebody, right? And human beings don't like correction, right? Because of the ego of as a person. So nobody really tells an adult what to do. If it's a child, you can correct your child immediately and tell your child, oh, that was wrong, do it this way. I mean, and you can relate with this. Give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm saying, right? Because there are times you even see people in the workplace do things that is wrong, but you just can't correct them. People say, oh, the person you are correcting is even angry that you are correcting, right? And it's worrisome. So most times, people rather just keep quiet. The same way it walks up is the same way it walks downward, right? And it comes in conversations like these where you want to be in the room to learn this in almost like a Nicodemus, as we can call it from the holy books, where you want to conversations that people don't talk about, things that people really train on. Even when training happens, I mean that's failed training. Even when training happens, training is just on what as it affects us, not you per se. And even when we try to slot in all that part of the curriculum in the part that affects the manager itself, it still doesn't get to the root cause, right? For instance, I'll give an example. How do you solve somebody's confidence issue? What kind of training can solve that, right? And people will say, okay, what's the ROI of this training? if we're going to send you on this training, what's the ROI is going to give you on what we have asked you on your target. So it's more of like fend for yourself. It's more of like solve the problem yourself. And this is why this is critical, because most managers leave it to happenstance or luck, or they just wing it. They just keep doing the same thing they've done again and again, right? And as that quote says, you can't keep doing the same thing again and again, and you expect to get a different result. That is what they call in that code, they call it insanity. So that's the conversation we're having, and I want to start this way. The skills that got you here are not the same skills that you need to succeed here. Now, by here, I'm talking about you as a manager. So the skill that got you here as a manager, they are not the same skills that will help you succeed as a manager. So, and it's not a character. So this is the critical thing that we should start with, that the skills that got you here are not the same skills that you need to succeed. It means that there are some other skill sets that we need as leaders, right? As managers. Now, these are the realities. We have shared some of these on the WhatsApp Insider community. If you have been inside the community, you might have seen some of these realities we have shared, right? And these are research based, right? Realities of unprepared managers. It's a gap that can be closed. One of them is that, persons that have shared on the call, that confidence gap when you're under pressure. The MD asks for, something, and you just can't figure out how to quickly even get it, even though you have a team, even though you have people who can get it done. But again, it's just difficult to quickly know what to do at that instance, right? And sometimes because of that blurry nature of the fact that when you were promoted into management, whether you were appointed, whether you were seconded, whether you were newly hired into a managerial role, you definitely add the skills. You add some core expertise that others didn't have, and that was why you were appointed. That was why you made the role. And so there's that blurry line of trying to do the work because you can do it. Actually, think about it. Every good manager can actually do the work, right? And so there's that blurry line to do the work personally, right? So if you have not managed the extra skills, you find a manager who is now doing the work personally, right? And so persons under them are not growing, persons under them are not really developing. There's no mentoring, there's no coaching, and all of that. And there are cases where many persons on this call will relate to this. Your direct reports have even been in the organization longer than you, right? I mean, somebody give me a thumbs up if you can relate with that. There are people who, from the first day, they're even looking at you to say, let's see if how this guy how this woman will really navigate this, right? Because persons before them, right, they couldn't achieve much. And so, those kind of people who they are the ages in organizations, right? And sometimes it may not even be that the person has been there longer. It may just be that the person is older. And so how to navigate that within our own cultural terrain, right? Where your direct report is older than you. And again, because of some of these issues, you can't even approach the person when they are poor, cases of poor performance, right? And that's a major one. We have cases of poor performance. So this person just tries to now just tries to avoid situation, right? Nobody wants to say the difficult things. You just want to be like, I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want the person to feel bad. All of those things, we say some of all of those things, right? And it doesn't help the work, because after a while, if you notice, after some months, your direct report will know, oh, this is how to get you. They know that you won't talk in this. They know that, you won't do this, right? And one major one also, that is a reality of, this lack of preparation, this preparation gap we're talking about is knowing what to focus on. One of my direct reports will always ask me, okay, what are we working on? And one of the easiest or one of the simplest things that the team wants anytime, in every moment in time in organization is direction, right? And when that direction is missing, many things go wrong. And so what do I focus on, right? We have a lot of things to focus on. It's a busy week. Which one tops the priority? How do I even do all of that, right? These are many, amongst many more, some of the issues. And just to even hinge on these, some of you are just connecting with me. There are persons who have not been part of my work. So I like to share quickly about my work. Who am I, and why should you really even listen to me, right? So one of the things about my work and my coaching, my leadership coaching, is I think in frameworks and structures. And thanks to a PhD I have in learning environment and education architecture, and so that helps me to think in systems. You agree that as an organization, one of the skills that makes a manager to excel is what we call systems thinking. To know that my unit is not just my unit. My unit connected to other units is what makes this organization to work. So I'm good in that because of such a rigor I've gone through in my journeys, right? 15 years plus, I've had the privilege of working with over 60,000 professionals, right? Helping them walk through these across 3 continents, whether it's in tech, whether it's in startup, whether it's in universities, name different sectors, right? And currently, I also serve as training manager, leading a national workforce program. I've had 30 plus experiences in different leadership roles across different sectors. Some of my books, I'll share one of the framework, and for those who stay on, we're going to share a link to, I'm gifting those who show up live on the call, chapter 6 of my book, Leadership, right? I will give you that as a gift for being live on the call. The book is on navigating success in managerial position. That's the title, Leadership. There's a framework I put up in the book on 3 P's every manager should focus on. I'll also share one of it on this call. And so there are a couple of frameworks, and I'm just going to also give you one on this call. So it's not an inspiration, it's real work, right? Real work we need to get onto. Now, in the research confirms it. Say 60% of new managers receive no formal training, right? We share that in the group as well in the course of the week, right? Okay, Okpayemi is putting up the link to that free gift I'm putting already. It's chapter 6. You get chapter 6 of the book Leadership, right? So just copy out that link. We'll also maybe put in the community later on, and as part of the resources of this webinar. Now, beyond the fact that 60% of managers don't get formal training, right? 50% also, when their direct reports rate them, they find that 50% of managers are ineffective. And really, one way to know effectiveness, there's a principle we always share of this. A principle for effectiveness is anonymous feedback. If you really want to know how you are doing, this is what you can do. On Monday morning, design an anonymous feedback. No name. If you want to don't use handwriting, right? Use it digitally, right? Don't connect it to their mails, don't connect it to their name. No name, anonymous. If you want to know how you are doing as a manager, on Monday morning, run an anonymous feedback. There are a couple of questions that should be on it, but if you want to know specific areas how you're doing well, just ask it anonymously. Something that should be done every quarter. You get to know from your direct reports how you're actually even doing, if you are meeting their expectation. And the research also says that 1 in 5 managers really feel confident, right? First-time managers, only 1 in 5 feel confident, when they begin the role. And like we said, this is not a character issue. There's nothing to be worried about. It's just the fact that it's a preparation gap, right? And if this gap continues, a lot of things will go wrong. Now, for you personally, you're going to plateau in your role. Ideally, the career graph is supposed to be projecting upward, right? But it could likely become a bell curve, which, if this gap remains, after it gets to an apex, it begins to come down. Ideally, a manager who does well, that thing when they say the reward of good work is more work, and more work with more rewards. But if the work that had been given has not been done well, guess what will happen? What will happen is that a manager gets to an apex, a climax, and begins to decline. And so it's the earliest to close this gap, the better for it. Now, beyond you as a manager, if this gap continues, this preparation gap for your team, there's going to be issues as well, right? Because teams, the organization, HR is looking at, HR will send assessment as well, to rate line managers, to rate supervisors. And so the organization is also looking if you're doing well, right? And it's going to be a game where you are now subjugated from your role because you are not achieving, right? And even the team members who are doing so well may even leave because and I've experienced this again myself in my journey, right? Every one of us, we've had managers that we worked with at some point in our journey, and you knew you were not growing under this manager. Yes or yes? I mean, give me your thumbs up or your favorite emojis. Alanda, Google Meet now asks clock it. So if you're in the clock it generation, you can use the clock it. If you're in the thumbs up generation, you can use the thumbs up as well. People are leaving roles not because the organization is bad, because the manager they are working directly with they're not growing under them. And one of the advice they give in career development is the manager you work with has a lot to do about your journey. So direct reports are also aware of this principle. So if they find out that they're not growing, and imagine the attrition rate when people leave your team. It's going to be worrisome. Of course, we can't control people leaving an organization, but when people leave a team, because HR will do exit interviews, and people will ask, okay, why are you guys? Why is that 3 people who have left in the last 3 months were from your team, were from your department? And this will be issues if this gap is not closed. And for the organization as a whole, you also see that if this gap is not closed, it's going to affect bottom line, it's going to affect the performance, and many things will go wrong. But here is the story of this manager I'm citing. When he retired, that was when it dawned on him that nobody was actually loyal to him. It was just because he was their manager. And so you know how it feels when nobody calls you for months. This was a person when he was in service, his phone was always buzzing. He was always having calls. He was always calling people, do this, do that. It was just an authoritarian kind of management style he held. And it dawned on him that he had lost a part of that work and that opportunity he had. That part is what we call legacy. What will go wrong is that if we are not able to close this gap, there will be issues, right? What will your team members remember you for, right? And so it's the part of legacy thinking that comes in. Now, I wanted to look at this is a case study we're working with. This is Tunde. Tunde is 44 years old in a fintech company in Lagos, right? With me. Now, Tunde has been performing well as a software developer for 5 years, and he was recently promoted to engineering manager. As engineering manager, Tunde now has a team of 7 people under him, right? But then Tunde is still doing most of the work of his team. He takes the work home. Tunde always tries to avoid conversing with this man because he doesn't know how to converse with this man because this man is older than him, right? At home, Tunde is never present, even when he's home, because the work is overwhelming. At their quarterly review, they narrowly hit their target, but they've had 2 resignations from their team, and it's been a decline. Now, I want to show you there's a framework I'm introducing right now to this call, and I'm going to walk you through. Let's use Tunde to see what could have been good, what could have been better, and what was bad. Now, this is the TLP framework, and the TLP framework is that for every manager, you have the technical credibility. Tunde had that. We can tick that for Tunde. For leadership intelligence, that was missing. I will show you. I'll layer on that shortly some more. For personal mastery, that was also missing. Now, let's break this down some more, right? If you have experienced what Tunde experienced, now I want to open the floor and hear from 1 or 2 persons. What is the first thing that you think went wrong in that situation, right? And what do you think Tunde could have done better, especially when he was promoted as engineering manager? So I'm just going to open the floor, right? You can use the raise hand button, and then you'll be able to turn on your microphone to speak, right? Yeah. Who's going for it? What do you think went wrong in this case? And what do you think Tunde could have done better? Okay, I see Oluwasegun. Oluwasegun, please go for it.
Yeah, good evening, everyone on the call, and Doctor, good evening. Thank you for this
Good evening. Good evening.
massive stuff you have put together. I think Tunde, being a technical guy, very sound with his job, that has been proven time and time again, even in the course of the promotion. However, I think there's a kind of gap, training gap, to be able to handle properly the new role. It is one thing to be technically sound. Technicality alone is not what may be totally required for you to be a good engineering manager, for instance, though, as the case is presented in this case study. So there is a gap there, and the gap is that of competence to manage the people under him.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I like the closing, the way you close up your thought there. Competence to manage the people. This is great. Let me hear from one more person. Okay, Blessing. Blessing, thank you. Please go for it, Blessing. Blessing, you have the floor. I'll come back to Mary.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank
Good
you
evening.
for the opportunity. So, what I think Tunde would have done better is not take the duties of his team members, his downlines. He should have allowed them to do the job, and even if they are not perfect, you should correct them gradually and let them learn to do the job instead of him to carry all the job and do alone, because he's not only slowing down target, he's also losing money, he's also making the people feel incompetent. So that is what I think Tunde would have done better. Thank you.
Amazing. Blessing, thank you for that. I know how what you have shared, it's a full masterclass on its own, because that's that precarity when you are not sure if your team members will do it well, especially like you always do it. And I faced that also some part of my journey, because I always felt nobody can do it like the way I would do it, and most managers fall into that trap. And thanks for that, Blessing. Let me hear from, I think, Mary as the last person, and we'll move on. Mary, you can share your thought.
All right, good evening, Doctor. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
All
Mary.
right, thank you so much for this webinar, for this class. All right, so from Tunde's case, first thing I would say, Blessing mentioned it, that is a micromanaging his team members, like not giving them a room to exhibit their full potential, having to redo their work late at night. So like if for instance, if a team member or that such manager will feel, oh, I'm not competent enough, or the manager does not see me fit to carry out the task he has assigned me to, and that is one thing that I'll think I'm not allowed to stretch my potentials enough, and could lead to me resigning. And I would say that could have caused maybe two members of his team resigning from the company. Secondly, I think his wife said he's never present. So I think for Tunde, he is not able to separate work from his life, like his family life. There is no difference between work life and family life. There's no balance. So I think those are the two things I see wrong in Tunde's approach to manage to being a manager. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mary. What you shared on work life, that's a full. I was doing a training on that last month. It's something that most people have still not managed. They've not mastered. But I'll come back there. Now, let me show you how this TLP framework could have helped Tunde. It's the same thing, and I think Chikeze also mentioned that delegation. That's a critical one, right? But let's balance this, and let's not eat Tunde too hard, because many of us are on Tunde's table, right? It's a table that is shaking, and we need to break it. Every manager is struggling in one or more of these three areas. Now, for most people, they get the T part, like Tunde, right? Because yeah, you are good at it, and most times that was the metrics that was used to get the promotion, the hiring, the appointment, the secondment. And people saw that there's something good here. There's talent here. Now, most part that gets missing and where the struggle lies much more is this last two, the L and the P, and I'll now layer more on those two. The L part is the leadership, right? And then the P part is the personal mastery, right? Now, this is how it works. Within the first 2 weeks, your team members are really deciding. There's a way, we call it perception in psychology. It's something somebody doesn't voice out, but within themselves, it's something they say, right? So they if somebody is good, right? Competence speaks without you even saying it. So that is critical, right? But then there are other critical parts of competence that most managers don't go after. There's what we call the decisiveness, where you are able to give a direction for the team on what they should do. And because most managers are not decisive, there's what you now listen to analysis paralysis, trying to say, okay, this is what we should do, but just going, this is the direction we should go, it's a problem. And again, you can be soft on yourself as a manager. You don't have to always be right every time. I've experienced that again and again. And let me give an instance of how I managed this early in my journey, right? When a manager is trying to build constellation, what I mean is a manager is trying to galvanize ideas from the team. Even though you have your own idea or a thought of how you think you should go, guess what? The precious resource of your team members is an untapped advantage most managers don't look at, right? So rather than you giving your idea upfront, open the floor sincerely, or as a form of authentic, trust in your team. And I can assure you that the first time they may not believe. Again, these are actions I wanted to start from Monday. They may not believe. If you have not been doing this before, they may think you just want to hear them just for hearing sake. If they've spoken before and you don't take action, people won't believe, right? But when they see a new thing, they see that you're actually nodding to the ideas, something begins to change in them. The perception can be changed. I wanted to write down in your book, perception can be changed. No matter the perception, if you've been in your managerial role for a year, for 6 months, for more than that, whatever is the perception they've had, especially if there's been a wrong one, it can be changed. It can be changed, right? So when you galvanize the ideas and then nobody's usurping the role, you are still the team lead, you are still the supervisor, you're still the branch manager, but your ability to be able to galvanize the ideas and now put it together as a team. These are teams resolve. These are teams output. That's the decisiveness that most times is missing. And there's a consistency part as well, because the team is always watching to see, especially when things don't go as planned, how do you protect them, right? And they are seeing how you treated direct report A, they're seeing how you treated direct report B, and this person knows it's coming to me. When is my turn? This is going to happen. I remember one time one of my direct reports said he was, I think maybe he wasn't feeling fine, and it was a case of, even though there were deliveries hanging, how do you manage that? It's a critical part that most managers miss. And the part I want to emphasize from that 3P is people. People, 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 right? Now, the task of a team, the task to be done is to be done by people, right? So you have within your team 2 people, 4 people, 10 people, 50 people, the ability to be able to acknowledge their experience, their strength, their weaknesses. So one of the things I did, and is a principle you can adopt again on Monday morning, right? If you have not done this before, draw out a list. This is your own personal journal, right? As a manager, you should have your own personal journal of your iteration, your ideas, right? And you want to confirm, do I really know my people? You want to do what we call the SWOT analysis for your people. What is the strength of James? What's the strength of Juliana? What's the strength of everybody? Most people assume it, and our defense is okay. But if you got the role, you are the one. You are the one in this office. You should know how to do this. Yes, this person knows how to do it, but within what he knows, there's still a strength. Did you see that now? Within what he knows, there's still a strength. And the benefit of your leadership prowess is that you know which one this one can do better than this person. And it helps to do what we call differentiation, right? And at some point also, you now begin to, do cross mentoring among your team. So this person who was not as good as this, you now begin to cross mentor, right? Both within the team, peer to peer mentorship, and from you as well. This part is where your team members are going to think, this person cares about me, this manager cares about my growth. And guess what? They will talk about you even out of that role, out of that tenure. It's a people thing. And I wanted to do this quick exercise, right? I call this the people intelligence exercise, right? Think of one person in your team, and I want you to just answer these questions for them. Just think of one of them, right? Not all of them, just starting from one of them, right? And just think about it. What drives them? So this is some people, some team members want recognition, that you call out their names in team meetings, in presentations. Some is not name calling they want, it's not recognition. It's you just want to be secure. What drives them? For that person you have written right now, I want everybody to take action. Write the name of one of your direct report, one of your team members. What drives them? Think about it from your experiences. When you reflect, what drives them? For some, it's growth. Some months ago, I bought some books and I just gave my members, my team members. It's part of people intelligence. Okay, I think this person will need this. I think this person will need that, right? Sometimes you see things that will help them. It could be an article on LinkedIn. It could be a resource you had used and you really loved it. It could help in the work you lead. Share it across. For some, it's growth. For some, it's that opportunity where you always give opportunity for their contribution, even though it's a large team or a small team. Even though you can do it, do you give them the opportunity to contribute? I want you to think about it, and think about it also. What is their biggest fear? What do they need right now? Is it autonomy? Right? We talked about micromanagement earlier on. Have you been too hard on them in getting things? Have you given enough space? Right? Think about it. What does this person need? This person you have written the name out. Are you watching to see? Are they watching to see if you are real, or if you are, if they're just testing to see if you are strong? What do you think when you think about this person you have written down? Does this person believe in you as at now, or you still feel this person is not loyal yet to you as the manager? Do you think they believe? Or so some team members, they actually say it out publicly, right? They tell you, oh, my boss is I love. For some, they don't say it. For some, it's just within their mind. What do you think is this perception of this team member to you? And lastly, what will make them go above and beyond for the team? Do you have an idea of that already? Like in that training I talked about, where we were talking about work-life balance. So it was a tussle. Some persons talked about how their manager cannot reach them after his close of work. Some said, oh well, if it's once in a while, then he will know that it's an emergency for my manager to have called me. But think about it. What do you think will make your team member go up? What do you think will make them go above and beyond for the team, for the organization, for the role? Now, if you're done answering any of these questions, I want you to go to the chat and put done in the chat. Our action takers. This is growth, right? And this is a lot of impact, a lot of learning we are gleaning from this. So we are not just hearing, we are working, we are doing, right? This is that strategy lab where, when you show up on Monday, people are going to answer, people are going to think, where were you? Where did you go to? And again, let me give you this heads up. There will be gossips about you from Monday if you apply the conversations we're talking about on the call. And the gossip is not a bad one, it's a good one, where you hear people begin to say things like, what is changed? They begin to say things like, is it real? Did you hear what this person said? Did you see what is, they begin to, people want to know if it's going to be real or just maybe energy bust, right? So, this is what you can do for that. And it's good I'm sharing that already. Thank you, Jerry. Action takers. If you're done, put it down in the chat. What that would do is that you for the next 21 days. The principle is that it takes 21 days to form a habit. Now, because it's a new thing you're doing, right? You want to put it down. You want to have, sticky notes, accountability, maybe to a fellow manager, maybe to your spouse, to somebody, to say, this is my new paradigm. I want to improve on my leadership intelligence for my team, and this is what I've written as action to do from this webinar. 1, 2, 3. So you are reminding yourself that way almost weekly. One of the things I did when I did this exercise, I just shared with us right now, was to really try to know my team members some more. And within the number 1 and number 5, I was really trying to know really what makes. I wanted to know the person beyond the work. Because of the kind of environment we're in, everybody just says, "Oh well, if it's not work, I'm not interested. Get the work done." This is and that is correct to an extent, but it's not completely correct. I try to know, okay, this person, I know this person is married. Is this person, how many children does this person have? I want to know what could be the home responsibility like. And I try to even know the names of their children, right? And it helps in interactions. It helps in checkups. It helps. And, they smile when I mention the name of their children. It's just a simple thing, right? Their birthday, we put up a design to celebrate them within the team. And just little things that shows people intelligence, right? If you're done, please put it on the chat. Even if you have not finished all of them, if you have answered 1 or 2, Mary, thank you, Don. Osinachi, thank you, Don. Timothy, Don. Let me know how many people are done. This is how you draw a lot of value from this, right? Don, beautiful. Thank you, Wilson. Don, William, thank you. Let's keep it coming, please. Let's keep it coming. Beautiful. Now, beyond people intelligence, let me show you something else. The last P there, personal mastery. Now, this one, it's a burden for me. I'll explain. Nobody really talks about this in management training, and it's like a leaking pipe. A leaking pipe cannot water a garden. Write that down, please. A leaking pipe cannot water a garden. Let me explain. And this is not even exhaustive. I'll just give four instances. We've seen cases of managers who are insecure, and because they think maybe a team member who is highly performing is a threat to their team. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? And that insecurity, if it is not managed and worked on, can wreck that managerial experience and tenure. We've seen cases of managers who have a low self-esteem, and so every time they are speaking with apology. They are trying to explain and these ones, nobody will say that you have a low self-esteem. It's not written on the face, right? It's just part of the personal life skills issues that must be resolved to do well on this managerial role. Let me show you a cross tabulation of how these deficiencies work. If somebody is insecure and maybe with a low self-esteem, this person feels, I must have a physical meeting so that they will know the person in charge. So what could have been communicated as an email, a detailed mail, 1, 2, 3, this, that, or a group chat with your team members, is turned to a meeting. And the back end of that is not that this person likes meeting, it's deficiencies on the personal mastery level. I'm showing you this so that you can begin to see and even begin to evaluate for yourself. Is there a leak somewhere in my personal mastery? I've seen situation. This one is not even about meeting, whether a meeting is running long, unproductive or not. This is a manager, right? And a manager is making a presentation for the team, or it was an external presentation, right? But this manager was excited when he was promoted, forgot that with this promotion, we now begin to come external presentations. I have to be the front facing of my unit. I have to be giving both upward and laterally. I have to be giving. That was when it dawned on this person that I have not developed my communication skill. This is a person that when it was just as a staff, as a team member, when there was no managerial role, He avoids taking presentation. They say, Friday, come and present for your team of this Friday. He said, no, I don't want. Always shoving it up. Now this gap now begins to show up. And this is a critical one. I remember one time in the country, we had this head of this agency. Many people will remember this story. They were having a recruitment, and they asked, what is the website of your organization? Unfortunately, he didn't know the website of the organization. I mean, and they said, we're not even talking about the website of the recruitment that is happening, just your normal organization, right? But now, many things could have been managed in that case. How many people remember that incident? Give me a thumbs up if you remember that. It was a national TV. I've been on TV a couple of times, and I may not always have an answer to all questions, but there's a way you manage it. If you remember what happened, yes, thank you, Samson. If you remember what happened, it was being defensive, right? There are ways. If you don't know something, there's a way you can say it, right? But I'm showing you to say that, right? Leo, don't allow this, right? No, let them hear us, right? I'm saying this to say that it was a reflection of undeveloped communication. And the team also, everybody just gets wearied out of it. Now, I want you to think about it. Don't put it in the chat. In your own notes, this is not even exhaustive. There are A to Z. There's a framework I have, A to Z, of personal mastery skills. For some people, it's what Mary mentioned earlier on work-life balance, right? Even though I have a framework for that, I don't believe in balance. Balance is an illusion. I believe in work-life harmony, right? But that's another conversation for another day. Some people have not been able to master that. You're doing well at work, but you're not doing well at home. You're not doing well in your finances. What is that personal mastery that it doesn't have to be the ones I have on the screen. It can be another thing. When someone says, oh, anger is an issue I have. I don't know how to talk calmly. I always raise my voice when I'm talking. I love that sincerity for somebody writing that down. If that is something your personal mastery, that means someone say, oh well, I need to upgrade my public speaking skills. Someone say, oh well, mine is just write down what you know, because if this gap is not closed in personal mastery, it will also show up. And as a manager, it shows up more visibly and publicly, which is why it needs to be closed, right? It needs to be closed urgently. It needs to be closed urgently, right? So let's do this audit. All you just have to do is just put a score over 5. Put a score. I just scored them randomly. Put a score. Rate yourself. 1 is the lowest, and 5 is the highest. We did an audit like this one time in a training. Somebody put 5, 5, 5 in everything. Well, that's not bad, but it's not sincere because it means there's not even room for growth, right? So emotional regulation under pressure. Score yourself, especially under pressure. 1, 2, 3. Score yourself. Giving feedback clearly and directly. That's also something figured out in communication. Some people assume, oh, I thought. The team member said, oh, I thought, and it was an issue. Oh, but we didn't say you should do this. Oh, you had already sent it. Oh, I thought. That happens a lot and a lot. Giving clear feedback. Rate yourself 1 over 5 there. What about receiving feedback without being defensive? If somebody tells you something that you need to work on as some bit of improvement, how do you receive that? Are you always defensive? Be very sincere, right? This is how we are growing. This is how growth happens, right? Okono, you can put it in your note. You don't have to put it on the public chat. It's a personal mastery audit, and I want everybody to take action in this. This helps you to know where you need to begin from tomorrow, from Monday. You know where you need to work on, right? Running productive meetings. Unfortunately, many people have not been trained on how to run meetings, and you got a team, next thing is you were running meetings. What's the science of meetings? When is a meeting meant to be held? How should a meeting be run, right? And all of that. Score yourself, please. How do you have difficult conversation? Rate yourself in your level of mastery on that. What about written communication? You agree there's a difference between verbal communication and written communication. Written communications, we're talking about either through email, through memos, through briefings, all of that. Rate yourself 1 over 5. Confidence in public speaking. Rate yourself, please. How about self-awareness and your leadership style? Not many know what leadership styles they dovetail in at some time. yes, you may not necessarily be in one statutorily, you move through several ones, but are you aware of the leadership styles that you require to succeed in this managerial role? What's your level of awareness on that? Now, if you're done with all of this, you can put it down in the chat, right? This is the personal mastery audit. Now, this is the real work, right? So you see what we are saying here. This is a lab. This is real work. And this is a conversation that is closed door, because if we were having this publicly, even if we're having this in an organizational setting, right? People try to, people present the best foot forward. Nobody will tell you, I have issues with this. I mean, thank you, Osinachi. Thank you, William. Let's keep it coming. Nobody will tell you, right? So this is, if you do this yourself and know for yourself where you need to start from. Thank you, Titus. Where you need to start from. Know for yourself. Beautiful. Let's keep it coming. If you're done, put it down. This is why we came here. This is the purpose of this conversation, right? Many are good in the T, but many are struggling with the L and the P. This is the TLP framework. And just to share an idea for the technical bit of it, right? There's this conversation around managers know a little about everything. Your team members know so much about a little. Think about it for a sec. I'll say it again. Managers know a little about everything. Team members know so much about a little. So this person is an accountant, or is an internal auditor, or this person is into business development. Your team members, based on their JD, they are good in their JD, supposedly, right? Now, you as the manager, now this is an add-on I'm giving to the technical competence, right? And this may help somebody listening to me. You as the manager, you need to, beyond the fact that you were good in that particular area as well before, and you are still good, right? You need to now know a little about many other things. One of them is what we're talking about. Now, let's go back to that conversation of that TV interview of, I think, was it 2013 then? If the manager knew a little about technology, about AI, a little about, you don't need to know all, plenty. Understand that every website has what they call a domain. A domain is www. 3, not 4, not 2. You don't need to have a degree. Somebody asked me one time, "Oh, Dr. Abraham, are you an IT person?" I don't have to be an IT person to have good mastery of IT. Someone said one time, because when people see multiple competencies, that's what shows that you're a good manager, right? You just need a little of many things. A little of many things. So somebody sends you a phishing mail. How do you recognize a phishing mail? A little of everything. A little of everything. You see it now, a little of everything, right? And that's one part that could help in your technical competence. So you are not necessarily spending, if you notice, HR sends trainings to managers. They don't send trainings on technical. They send tiny things on these areas, the little about everything. They help you understand people management. They help you understand, people intelligence, which is one we just worked on now. They help you understand emotional intelligence. They help you understand, because they know that if you master those ones, you'll be able to galvanize your team to do a great work, right? This is great. I want to appreciate all the action takers, because this is really why we're here. Thank you, Samson. Thank you, Oluwasegun. Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you, Azan, for taking action. Thank you, Oluwatobi. Ayuba, I see you. Thank you, Ayuba. Ene, thank you for taking action. Thank you, everyone who's taking action. Beautiful. Now, I begin to close up our conversation, right? And I wish we can continue on and on and on again. But again, I don't want to take your evening. If I take work-life balance alone, right? We can run it for 3 sessions, right? If we take, let me go back to the personal mastery. If we take public speaking alone, right? And public speaking, by the way, is not difficult. That alone is a full-fledged body of work on its own, because you have to communicate. You can't say you are shy. No, not at this level. Now, think about it. The more you are good in this personal mastery and leadership skill, the more opportunities now begin to come your way. They are looking out to all of these before that can come, right? And that's why a session is not enough. Even in medicine, right? They don't tell you to take one drug and that does all the healing. They say 1 in the morning, one at night, take it for 5 days, because transformation really requires that time, right? Even in school, you didn't get your degree for in one class, right? It was a full curriculum. You had 4 years, some 5 years, some 6 years. You don't go to the gym once and feel you must do the repack, right? So what I've helped you to do tonight, we've done a lot of diagnosis, right? And you have seen, I've shown you the TLP framework, the technical competence, that's your technical credibility, the leadership, intelligence, and of course, the last one we looked at, which is on the personal mastery, right? But this one is not enough. This is what I've done, right? For those who will want to go for that, right? If you found value in what we have done tonight, imagine what we can do for longer. And what I've designed is to help some people who, just 20 people who will be interested, go further in this experience, right? We will have more time, right? We'll do this for four weekends, live on a call like this. You share your experiences. We're able to make it to your context, whether you are just beginning or you're even aspiring a managerial role, but you're preparing, right? So the TLP framework we have used, we'll finish it some more. I review your submissions, right? It's what I've called the new managers leadership accelerator. Now, let me show you something that most managers also do not know. When you are appointed a manager, the engine behind succeeding in that managerial role is actually leadership, if you think about it, because nobody's asking you to do the work alone, right? They're asking you much to say, how can you do it through people? So that is where leadership skills come in. And the best managers have leadership competence behind them, right? The L and the P, right? The L and the P. So I'm inviting those who want to come in this experience. Let me see. Okay, can you share the new managers? If you go to my website, abrahamowoseni.com/new managers, you'll see. Let me see if I could just run us through that. Whether you are newly promoted, appointed, hired, whichever is the case, we want to just use 4 weekends to dive into this experience, right? It's not training, it's a blend of coaching experience. Imagine the diagnosis we've done tonight, right? With the two tools I've shared with you. Imagine we could go further that way, right? And we just want to go on it. So June 13th, June 20, June 27, and July 4. We run like this. 6 to 8 p.m. On each of those days. You also get access to all the tools, right? And what we cover, so I've tried to synthesize them into 4 areas. Now, what we are covering in the 4 areas, in the first day, June 13th, we covered the beginning. Help, I'm a manager. So we're covering the leadership skills, the gaps, right? And tools that will really help you to master this new terrain of management, right? And then we'll now build on it in the second week. And then I'll be able to show you the twist of management, which is fact that if you go to management school alone, you still will not be able to do well as a manager. There's something else, right? The title says manager, but the actual job is to lead, right? And I don't know why HR doesn't say this up front. There are many HR managers on the call, right? I'll be glad to also, outside of this conversation, help in the work you lead with your team, because when the managers do well, the organization do well as well, right? How do you master your team? How do you also communicate upward leadership styles? This is a whole lot about leadership. Leadership is a body of work. I have tons of years of experience on that. Unique frameworks that I've developed myself and I've used with other people. So this is not about quoting someone else. These are frameworks I've developed myself. And then what is the toolbox? In the third week, we focus on the toolbox. Toolbox are the specific tools you need, right? For instance, how do you have conversations? Imagine you have a script on how you can have a conversation, difficult conversation. Somebody's not performing well. How do you say it without losing your emotional intelligence and empowering on the person as well? How do you say it? Somebody has told me one time, said, Dr. Abraham, you know how to give good feedback. And the reason is simple, because I will tell you no, but you'll be happy that I told you no. It's just a science, right? right? How do you delegate in a way that sticks? How do you build up frameworks that people just know what to do? They don't need to ask you. Team members in the office today, you look at the workforce today, whether they are working from home or in the office, somehow you're watching movies in the office because they don't know what to do, no direction. The manager is also clueless to how do we do this thing? What is the toolbox, right? And so all of that toolbox comes in there, and then we're closing up this experience with a fireside chat. I'm bringing two of my colleagues as well, who will be on the call, and we'll have a full Q&A with them. And each person also has a 90-day leadership plan. There are opportunities for you to join. We have three tiers, right? If you go to seller.com/new managers, you can pick any of the tiers that works for you. Seller.com/new managers, right? You can choose any of the tiers that works for you, right? But this is what I'm going to do for those who are going to take action today. You also have 5 additional resources, right? I've given you chapter 6 of my book for free today. You also have the fuller experience of the book. The book has, I think, about 6 chapters in all, if not more. Recently this week, I released a new book called The Thinking Leader, right? You also have you have that material as well. One of the things I've also found in my experience with managers is that managers don't plan their career journey. So this is how it works, right? Managers have their CVs and they also update it, and they are looking forward to the next organization to update the management role on. But there's what I call CP. So you have a CV. Do you also have a CP? A CP is what I call career plan. Now, unfortunately, most managers don't have that, right? So beyond the current role you have right now, what is the big picture? What does 10 years look like? What does 20 years look like? Unfortunately, managers get to that end and it dawns on them that, oh, what did I do all the while? Because, they didn't take action. They didn't know, they had no career plan. And unfortunately, again, organizations don't do that plan for you. You do it yourself, right? So there's a framework around that. I call it the career architecture. I'll give that to you as a video material. You'll be able to design your own career plan. Beyond the current managerial role you have, how do you plan to get the next senior one, get to the next one? It must be planned. It doesn't happen by chance. So imagine what we just did on the call right now, where you were able to diagnose areas of deficiency and areas to work on. There's a full-fledged work on that where you have where you can identify your blind spots, right? No team member will come and tell you that, oh God, the way you talk, the way you dress, nobody will come and tell you. As a manager, there's a framework to identifying the blind spot yourself, right? That's what that video resource would do, right? Shane was part of one of our career programs in 2018, and she got a managerial role just from the experience she's had. And she said, I'm now leading the operations in sub-Saharan Africa, right? These are experiences that you will be part of it as well. Darren said, I've gone back to the drawing board to look at what the ingredients my leadership style was lacking. You might have been doing some things in a particular way, but you might have been doing it the wrong way, right? If you have the opportunity to go back, there's what we call relearning, unlearning, and learning, right? That humility to go back to learn, relearn, and unlearn, right? And we are giving you a 10% discount to join us tonight. That's going to expire on June 1st, 11:59 p.m. right? When you are checking out from seller.com/new managers, just add this coupon to it, EARLYBIRD in caps lock, EARLYBIRD, right? Okay, can you share that in the groups? Put in the chat, and you'll be able to get an additional 10% discount. Again, the dates are June 13th, right? Each of the Saturdays till July 4th, we're closing up that. And there's I also to mention, there's also a certificate right at the end of this. If you're choosing the regular tier, the regular tier also gives the full accelerator tier. It gives you opportunity to have full replay, right? If you choose just the bootcamp experience, you have the opportunity to be in the room, right? But there are no replays for that. right? But you have the 4 live session. But those who choose the full accelerator, you have the bonuses, you also have the replays, and you also have all the workbooks that we'll be sharing at the webinar. And if you want a VIP experience has everything, plus 2 additional private one-on-one session, additional personalized review of your 90-day leadership plan, right? That comes with that. So just choose your preferred tickets when you are checking out on Seller, right? The early bird closes on Sunday, 1st June. That's by midnight, right? Just use the word early bird in caps lock without space, and you'll be able to get a 10% additional discount. And that's the second gift I'm also giving. Earlier, we had given the chapter 6 of the leadership. It's something you can consume tomorrow evening, right? Just while you're relaxing. Make sure you read it before Monday morning, right? I emphasize the people part of what I shared today, right? If you need a payment plan, just reach out on the group to Okwe, send her a DM. She will let you know how to get if you need a second a payment plan, right? So please, I want to take questions right now. If you have 1 or 2 questions you want me to respond to on the call, right? I'm going to take that right now. Shegun, can you go for it? Then we'll come back to Benjamin.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. This is really massive. I must tell you, I really appreciate you and your team for putting up this. Just one question, sir. Please, what will that one word be for someone who wants to move to the position of a CEO, maybe in his own private establishment, and within a very short period of time, he wants to be not just ordinary CEO, but high achiever CEO. So what would that word be? Maybe a word of admonition or something that you have for such a person. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Owoseni, that's a big one, right?
I'm not a doctor, sir.
Okay, I know there was one doctor. Okay, that was Dr. Aditya. Okay, somebody had replied on the pre-webinar exercise we had, so I thought that was you. All right, so maybe that's the first place you should start from. Get a doctorate. Well, that's on a lighter note.
Anyway,
right.
I'll definitely, that is in the offering anyway.
Is on the offering, okay. I mean, but that's on a lighter note. But your question is very sincere, and I really like that you asked it. So 2 things, right? And this is not exhaustive. First is this, right? The same principles for leadership within a corporate organization, we call it entrepreneurship, is the same for leading a business, entrepreneurship, right? And sometimes people think, oh, when I start my own thing, or and I'm saying that to really appreciate the question you asked, because the same principles for entrepreneurship, if you get it well within the team you are in right now, if you have that burden to start something tomorrow, you're going to do so well because you've mastered. It's the same. It's not going to change, right? And so it looks like a word that is repetitive, but it's still the same thing. Leadership. That's that one word, right? The technical bit of it, you are good at it, right? At a CEO level, at an MD level, at a at that level, things are delicate. So, the way we draw the triangle is like an equilateral triangle, right? You have at the base, you have the middle operations, you have manager, you have senior manager, and you have the apex. That apex you're talking about is delicate. At that delicate level, you rose through to that delicate level. Things easily, a small error. One time in my journey, somebody wrote a memo, one small memo. I don't even think it was full page, just one small memo. And that memo broke a lot of things, right? And so one core skill you continuously want to upskill is your leadership skill. And the leadership skill here is not even talking about, whether, you have charisma. I mean, that has its beat. We're talking about especially people, because you are influencing people, right? Your people are getting the work done. How do people hear you on the call? The CEO speaks, they pick a lot of signals about your authenticity. If you truly love the people, you don't just stay in the glass corner office or in the headquarters. You schedule tours around to the other floors. You feel the pulse of the people. You're not just reading reports that the middle managers have sent upward. I mean, it's something we could go on and again, but the emphasis there will be that continue to upskill your leadership skill, and I'll be glad to have you join us in the New Managers Leadership Accelerator, because again, I think it starts from there really, to say this is how you upskill to that CEO level, and the same skill set will also work even when you get into other levels, right? Benjamin, you can go ahead with your question now.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if Benjamin is not there. If you want to, feel free. If you don't want to speak, if you want to type your questions, you can just share that as well in the chat. I'll just pick your question from the chat. If there are other questions you want to ask before we close the stream. For those who have asked of replay, yes, we'll try to put a replay. We know we've had some technical glitches, right? So we'll put up the replay as well, so that you're able to go over that the experience again, right? So please let me know. Are there other questions at this time? If you're not part of our insider community on WhatsApp, you may be missing a lot of info. For instance, earlier this week we had a very beautiful debrief, and I'd like to give a shout out to all of the people who have contributed to that, to both to the poll, to the study we shared. There's just a lot more happening in there that you should also be part of, right? And we've put your privacy, consider that, your safeguarding and all that, so that is covered as well, right? I like to close with this, and just to say this as we close the stream, that you did not step into this role just to hold it. Think about it. You stepped into it to grow through it. Every role, if you reflect on your career journey, when you started 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, every role had prepared you for the next. Now, this one you are in as well is preparing you for the next. And how you navigate that will determine what that next actually is, right? Are you going to be that kind of manager whose team members will go on to lead other units, and from your unit you have produced other managers, other top rated talents, right? And that decision is really on your own table right now. So the question is not whether you will grow. Some people get to wing it, and but that's accidentally. There's a methodology for growing, right? If you are building a house, you're currently building a house, even if you have the roofing sheet of the house, the roofing sheet is useless if you have not built the foundation. The foundation is the first thing you have to do. Clear the sites, do the foundation. If you have done the foundation, then start to build the blocks, start to mount it. If you are going multiple floors, do the decking, right? If you have not done that, the roofing sheet, the tile is good. It remains in the store. Okay, maybe because if inflation, if based on dollar, you bought it down, great. But there's a methodology, there's a sequence to growth. And that's the part most people miss, because it's just winging it. It's not in the right sequence, right? And it's an opportunity to immerse more in this experience we've had and grow into what we've had even tonight, right? I want to say thank you to everyone who's been part of this experience. If you were to mention one word to describe how tonight has been, one word, right? What would that one word be? I want to read that in the chat. Just type that one word. If you're to use one word to describe your experience tonight, what would that one word be? And somebody said, oh, self-revealing. One time we had somebody said, what is that one word? I see a question from Mary. I'm going to come to that right now. Mary, what is that one? What would that one word be? Somebody said, phantom. I can't pronounce this. Phantasmaglorious. Okay. All right. Somebody says educative. Precious. I like that. Enlightening. There's something about light. Okay. I permit the word. Timothy said, informative. Mary, eye-opening. Bob. Thank you, Bob. Insightful. Sadiq says, fascinating. All right. Keep the words coming, and thank you for your kind words. So Mary says, how do you manage team members who do not have a full glimpse of their work contract. Mary, this is in the second P of the framework, the 3P. The second P talks about. This question will have me to share that briefly. The second P is about process. So something is broken in the process, right? There's a lot of body of work around that, business development, Lean Six Sigma, and all that. If they don't know their full contract, something is wrong, right? They should have a full contract, that the full contract has their job description there. And when they finally resume, they should also have their key performance indicator, whether you are using it per year or whether it's per quarter, depending on how the human resource and people team of your organization runs it, right? And if it's a business you run, then you need to ensure that the administrative system is solid, in the sense that they must know what is their JD, right? That is going to be the benchmark you're going to use in evaluating them when it's time for appraisal and all of that, right? So let me know. I think that has covered that. Amina says educative, right? Intriguing. I think that's the word, right? And I think it's been an experience for me, fascinating experience. And our team, we want to say thank you to everybody who's been part of it. For those who are going to be in the inner circle, definitely this is not going to be the last time. We're beginning on June 13th. So definitely you're going to be in a closed room like this, and we're going to have deeper dive into this. It's a journey ahead, and I look forward to working with you that journey and saying to you, thank you for being part of this experience. So stay connected on our insider community. If you're not part of it, check the link we sent in your mail. It has the link to join, so that you can get more resources. We're going to share more resources even after this webinar as well. And for those who want reminders as well, you'll be able to join in. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been an experience from here and a bye from here. Enjoy the rest of the evening.